Lin Hao, what are you stupid? If you don't leave, the tickets to the pyramid are not waiting for you. Xiaoya's voice came from the front, with a bit of joking. She put her hands on her hips and held her cell phone in the other, and was looking at me with her head back. Her big eyes were flashing under the sun, and she was dying with a look of follow me up, and she was beating. I returned to my senses, grinned, and patted the mountaineering bag on my back. I'm here, what's the urge to urge? The Egyptian pyramids won't run away. I said this on my mouth, and there was a little excitement in my heart. After all, this is not an ordinary trip. Lin Hao, came this time, not to take a few photos and post them on WeChat Moments, but to, a huge secret. Things have to be said 3 days ago. That night, I flipped through a broken ancient book from the old book market in my dormitory, but accidentally caught my hand and blood dripped on the book page, and then, bang! A golden light flashed, and suddenly there was a lot of messy things in my brain, the secrets of the 7 miracles, the ancient rituals, and a low voice telling me that I am the inheritor and I have to crack these miracles and get the treasures in it. At that time, I thought I was dreaming, so I pinched myself for a while, and I grinned in pain before I believed it. So, without saying that, he brought his childhood sweetheart Ma Xiaoya and bought a ticket and headed straight for Egypt. The first stop is the Pyramid of Khufu. Hey, Lin Hao, do you really think that broken book is true? Xiaoya walked beside me and asked in a low voice, full of doubts in her language, what kind of treasure inheritor? It sounds like a web novel. You won't be cheated, right? If you are not a cheat, you will know if you go in. I was thrilled, and the contents of the ancient book appeared in my brain. The book says that the pyramid contains the first strange secret, which I can only unravel. As for what it is, I didn't write it clearly in the book, but I just told me that this time is definitely not simple. When we arrived at the entrance of the pyramid, there were many tourists, but most of them were just outside and taking photos. There were not many who actually entered. After all, the inside was dark and grim, and there were all kinds of lost sayings. How could ordinary people dare to be irresistible? Xiaoya and I handed in the ticket, and as we walked into the tour, we stepped into the passage, and a squirrel shaved over, smearing with a strange smell that could not be described. This place is a bit evil. Xiaoya muttered in a low voice and grabbed my arm. What are you afraid of? I'm here. My voice was hard, and I actually felt a little nervous. However, the strange straightness in my brain became stronger and stronger, as if something was calling me and leading me deeper. The guide took us a while and there was a forbidden road ahead, with warning signs hanging above, saying it was a dangerous area and it was not allowed to enter. I glanced at it, and my brain suddenly buzzed, and the stimulating feeling suddenly became strong. That's it. The entrance to the sacred is absolutely right inside. Xiaoya, wait for me and I'll go and have a look. I said in a low voice, and quickly diamonded into the fork in the road when the tour was not paid attention. Hey! You're crazy. Xiaoya stomped her feet in a hurry, but she still followed her with her head hard. This passage is much narrower than the outside, with strange symbols engraved on the 2 stone walls, and a smell of corruption is everywhere in the air. After walking for a few steps, a click suddenly sounded under my feet. I looked down and broke a stone slab. The next second, the entire channel began to shake, and the stone block on the top fell down. Lin Hao! Run! Xiaoya screamed, pulled me back and ran back, but the road behind was blocked, and a ray of light appeared in front of him. I can't run anymore, push forward. I gritted my teeth and pulled Xiaoya over with a quick step. Sure enough, there was a small door in front, and behind it was a small stone chamber. There was a stone platform in the center, with a black stone tablet the size of a palm on it, emitting a faint light. What is this? What? Xiaoya gasped and stared at the stone tablet. Without answering, the sound in my brain suddenly started to sound again. Touch it, accept the test, and unlock the first secret. I felt aroused, walked over, and reached out and pressed my hand on the stone tablet. In an instant, a cold current flowed from my palms all over my body. My eyes went dark and my whole person seemed to be sucked into a dark space without a trace. Who dares to enter my holy land? A low roar exploded in my ears, and then a huge stone statue of lion appeared in front of me, with red eyes and claws slammed into the ground. I'll go, what's going on? Is the illusion or real? My heart beats as fast as a drumbeat, but my brain is unusually awake. It is said in ancient books that miraculous trials must be passed before they can get the treasure. I think this guy is the #1 guardian. Come on. Let's see how I deal with you. I shouted loudly. Although I had no iron in my hand, there was a strange rune in my brain, as if it was a spell. I subconsciously thought out, and the next second, a blue flame ignited in the palm of my hand and smashed it hard towards the lion man's face. Still. The flames hit the target, and the monster roared, and its body began to collapse, turning into a pile of gravel and scattered on the ground. As the dark space disappeared, my eyes lit up and I returned to the stone chamber. Lin Hao. Are you fucking just now? Why did you suddenly stop moving? Xiaoya grabbed me anxiously, her palms covered in sweat. It's okay, I've just closed it. I gasped and looked down. I saw that there was a golden amulet in my hand. It looked like an eye, emitting a faint light. The voice in the brain sounded again. After the first trial, you will be able to win the eyes of the pharaoh, and you will be able to resist all fatal injuries. Damn, what kind of magic weapon is this? I grinned, and I hid this first treasure and felt like the whole person was hanging, and my body was filled with strength. Lin Hao, let's go quickly. This place is so evil. Xiaoya pulled me, her eyes full of worry. Okay, listen to you. I clicked my head, stuffed the amulet into my pocket, and just prepared to leave, and suddenly there was a sound of footsteps outside the stone room, and then a cold sound came out. Lin Hao, I didn't expect you to be able to find it here with some ability. I glanced at the beginning of my eyebrows and looked at it. There were 3 people standing at the entrance of the passage, the one wearing a black suit and a mocking smile on her face. It was Zhao Tianba. This guy is a well-known rich second generation from our school. His family background is extremely mysterious. He heard about his descendants of the family who protects the Tibetan family. I usually can't get along with me, but I didn't expect to chase after Egypt this time. Zhao Tianba, are you fucking me? Want to snatch something? I sneered and pressed in front of Xiaoya. Haha, Lin Hao, you are just a sacred student, and you deserve to fight with me? Zhao Tianba sneered and winked at the 2 black-clothed protective glasses behind him. Put the talisman, otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. I want to slap it. It depends on whether you have this ability. I narrowed my eyes, and the eyes of the pharaoh I just got made me feel full of confidence, and I was not afraid of this guy. Go! Zhao Tianba gave an order, and the 2 protective lenses directly rushed over, with their fists singing, and their aura was quite bluffing. But I didn't panic at all. The straightforward thought in my brain told me that the eyes of the pharaoh could help me attack. Sure enough, one of the protective lenses punched over, and a golden light suddenly appeared in the air, which forced him to open and fell to the ground and screamed. What? Zhao Tianba's face changed, and he obviously didn't expect that I had such skills. Why, Xiao, do you still want to try it? I raised my eyebrows, walked up to him, and looked at him from a high point. I'm going to save some energy. I can't hide such things, which are not something like you can touch. You! Zhao Tian was so domineering that his face was green, but looking at the ignorant golden light beside me, he didn't dare to move anymore. He could only grit his teeth and squeezed. Lin Hao, I have recorded this note, let's take a look. After saying that, he left in shame with 2 protective glasses, and he didn't dare to go back. Tisk, what's the thing? I curled my lips and smiled at Xiaoya. Let's go, we should go out too. Xiaoya was slightly stunning, and although she still had a shocking expression on her face, there was a little admiration in her eyes. Lin Hao, you just, really? Ha, of course. I was in a good mood and returned with Xiaoya the same way. My heart was counting. The eye of the pharaoh was just the first treasure, and there were 6 wonders waiting for me behind. The guy Zhao Tianba will definitely not be good at silence, so I guess there will be some trouble in the future. But, What about him? With the eyes of the pharaoh in hand, who am I, Lin Hao, afraid? After leaving the pyramid, the sunset was setting, and the desert was filled with golden light. Looking at the scenery far away, I suddenly felt that this adventure was about to become more and more exciting. Xiaoya, where are you next stop? I turned around and asked. A bad smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. She was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. No matter where it is, you can follow you anyway. We looked at each other, laughing back over the desert, without stopping, heading towards the next unknown direction. Hey, Lin Hao, where's the next stop? You sold Guanzi, right? Xiaoya sat on the plane, holding a bottle of mineral water, looking at me from the side, her eyes full of curiosity. That's what she is like. She doesn't care on the surface, but in fact, she wants to know what to fuck next. I leaned against the back of the chair, closed my eyes, and couldn't help but swell up the corner of my mouth, and a description of the second strangeness in the ancient book appeared in my brain. In the South American Maya god's temple, there is a mysterious womb that sounds like a place, saying that it contains a treasure that can allow people to control the power of nature. Just thinking about it makes people feel hot and blood boil. Don't worry, you'll know when you're here. I opened my eyes quietly and blinked her, but I'll remind you first that this time the place is even more evil than the pyramid, so be mentally prepared. TSK, I have to say that I understand it very much. Xiaoya curled her lips, but with the tablet in her hand, she had already started to search for information about Maya's divine war. This girl, without saying anything, is more concerned about anyone in her heart. As the aircraft landed, we went straight to the hot rainforest in South America as soon as we got off the plane, and the Maya divine lies deep in this primitive forest. The air was as hot as a sauna, surrounded by dense forests of trees. Occasionally, you could hear a few unknown birds, which made people feel goosebumps. Lin Hao, is there really a treasure in this ghost place? Xiaoya wiped the sweat from her head, and there was a little doubt in her language. How do I think we are coming to die? Don't worry, the ancient book is clearly written. There's absolutely something big about the god of Maya. I patted my backpack and unconsciously stroked the pharaoh's eyes in my pocket. Since I got that thing, I always gave me an inexplicable sense of confidence, as if I could handle any trouble at any time. After walking for most of the day, the sun was almost set, and a huge stone building covered by vines finally appeared in front of me. The top is high and the stone is full of strange patterns, and the air is filled with a strong and depressing breath. Maya God's Hall, here. Wow, this place, it's really a bit of a horror movie. Xiaoya muttered in a low voice and grabbed my arm. What are you afraid of? I'm here. I was so angry, but I felt a little more alert. The straight vision in my brain began to cause trouble again, as if someone was whispering softly, leading me to walk deep into the divine world. We climbed up the stone and reached the entrance, and suddenly we heard a deep footstep coming from the trees beside us. I bowed and Lima pulled Xiaoya and hid behind a large stone, and said in a low voice, "Don't make a sound, someone." After a few seconds, several guys in camouflage uniforms walked out of the forest, holding a talker in their hands and not gunning at their waists. I recognized the person in charge at a glance, Zhao Tianba. Why did this guy come with me again in a state of silence? That boy Lin Hao must have come too. Keep a close eye on me. Baozong can't let him take him away. Zhao Tianba lowered his voice and said with a cold smile on his face. I have brought a special team in the family this time. No matter what kind of amulet he has to kneel down. Damn, this guy is really not giving up. I gritted my teeth and said to Xiaoya in a low voice, it seems that they have already made a good match. We have to be careful, enter the gods first and be ahead of them. Xiaoya looked at her head, and there was a little tightness in her eyes, but she followed me quietly over the group of people and slipped into the divine temple from the side. It was so dark inside that I couldn't see my fingers. I took out my flashlight and took a photo. I found that the two sides of the passage were full of exquisitely carved stone statues. Each stone statue's eyes seemed to be alive, staring at people's backs. Lin Hao, here, is a little unfavorable. Xiaoya said in a short voice, her hands were already clutching my clothes unconsciously. Don't panic, go as you feel. I took a deep breath, and the straightness in my brain became stronger and stronger, as if there was an invisible line leading me deeper. After walking far away, a huge stone door appeared in the passage, with a circle of strange runes engraved on it, and a groove in the center, as if something was missing. What is this? Explanation of the game? Xiaoya sniffed her eyebrows and studied the runes closer to study. It should be a machine. The book says that the treasure of Maya Divine War needs to be obtained through a trial. I narrowed my eyes, and suddenly flashed a bunch of runes in my brain, like the knowledge that someone directly stuffed in. I tried to press my palm on the groove in the order in my memory, and recited a few strange sounds in my mouth. Rumor. The stone gate suddenly shook, and opened to both sides, revealing a huge underground hall. There is a sacrificial fort in the center of the hall, with green stones floating on it, radiating faint light, and there are several stone statues guarding the temple, as if they will live at any time. Is this Baozong? Xiaoya's eyes lit up, but the next second, her face suddenly changed. Lin Hao, be careful. I suddenly turned around, only the eyes of those stone statues guarding the wizard suddenly lit up red, and my body started to move. Crack and held a long spear in my hand and rolled it directly towards us. Damn, there are indeed guardians. I shouted, and Lima pulled Xiaoya to avoid the first wave of attacks. These stone statues were so fast that they could smash a big hole on the ground every time their long spears were swept down. If I hadn't reacted quickly, I would have been stabbed into a sieve long ago. Lin Hao, what should I do? We don't have weapons. Xiaoya was so anxious that she was sweating profusely, hiding behind me and not daring to disturb her. Weapon? No need. I sneered, and a spell suddenly appeared in my brain, which was similar to the feeling when I was in a pyramid. I slapped my hands and sniffed softly. A blue flame suddenly ignited in my palms, and directly hit the nearest stone statue. Bang! The flames hit the target, and the stone statue was blown into pieces, full of gravel. The other stone statues seemed to be angered and the attack became even more crazy, but I relied on the protection of the Eye of the Pharaoh and was not afraid of their attacks. Every time a long spear came, the golden light flashed, and directly opened the weapon, smashed it with a punch, and smashed the stone statue into pieces. Lin Hao, you are too fierce. Xiaoya looked at me punching the stone statue, her eyes straightened, and her words were filled with worship. That's where I go, look at me. I grinned, and my confidence was overwhelming, and the remaining stone statues were smashed in several ups and downs. The building finally calmed down, and the green stones on the fort became brighter, as if they recognized my strength. I walked over, reached out to hold the stone, and in an instant a clear force stormed through my palms, and the sound in my brain began to sound again. The second trial is completed, and I can obtain the core of nature and control the power of thunder. I'll go, what kind of magic skill is this? I looked down at the stone in my hand, and felt that there was an unscathing force inside my body. With a swipe of my hand, a small whirlpool actually rolled up in the air, and the gravel beside me was blown up. Lin Hao, are you Superman? Xiaoya was stunned and said for a long time. Superman dare not say it, but it's still okay to clean up a few little kids. I smiled and wanted to say something, but suddenly I heard a hurrying sound from the entrance of the main hall. Then, the cold voice of Zhao Tianba started to sound. Lin Hao, it's you, I'm hiding, I can't take it away. I turned around and saw that Zhao Tianba had blocked the exit with 7 or 8 subordinates, each holding a gun in his hand, staring at us steadily. He had a smug smile on his face, as if he had been able to eat us. Steal the stone, otherwise, you don't want to leave here today. Zhao Tianba, are you not trained by the pyramid? Do you want to come again? I sneered, protecting Xiaoya behind me, with no fear in my eyes. I was careless last time. This time I brought a special team from the family. No matter what kind of amulet you have to kneel down. Zhao Tianba snatched his hand, and his subordinates stood up and shot at us. The atmosphere in the air was extremely tight. Special team? That's it? I raised my eyebrows, held the natural core in my hand, and moved my brain, and instantly adjusted the power I had gained. The next second, a wild wind suddenly rolled up in the entire hall, and the sand was flying all over the sky. The eyes of those guys were not open, their guns were shaking, and they couldn't aim at it at all. What a ghost thing! Zhao Tianba roared, but before I finished speaking, I rushed over with one stroke, and a lightning light fell from the sky, slashing hard between them. Several of my subordinates fell to the ground and twitched, and the rest were scared and shot and looked for cover. "Mr. Zhao, what's going on now? Still want to fight with me?" I stood in front of him, looking down at him, full of ridicule. The power of the core of nature is simply strong, and I can't believe this kind of crushing combat power. How could you have such power? Zhao Tianba's face turned blue, gritted his teeth and took a few steps back, his eyes filled with shock and reluctance. "This power is not something you can understand." I snorted coldly, ignored him, and said to Xiaoya, "Let's go, we don't have to waste time with this waste." Xiaoya was a little bit head, and although her face was still a little shocked, she was more excited. "Lin Hao, you are so awesome. Zhao Tianba is afraid that he will vomit blood this time." I smiled, without saying anything, but there was a little bit of doubt in my heart. Why can a guy like Zhao Tianba always find us? And when I heard they're just language, what kind of family special team, can I tell if their family really have a background and has a direct relationship with Baoshi? Just as he was thinking, Zhao Tianba suddenly got up from the ground, stared at me fiercely, and said in a low voice, "Lin Hao, don't be too proud too early. The secrets of the 7 miracles are not something you can swallow alone. My family has been guarding for thousands of years, and the power behind it is far beyond your imagination." "Oh? Then I want to see what kind of waves you can find." I raised my eyebrows, not taking his threat seriously at all, but I felt a little more alert. There is something in this guy, and it is estimated that the truth behind the treasure is far more complicated than I thought. I didn't care about the storm, so I took Xiaoya away from the side of the building and walked out the passage. The power of the core of nature is still flowing in the body, as if it can explode at any time, making my entire personal status at the peak. But I know that this is just the second quirk, and the subsequent challenges will only be more difficult, and Zhao Tianba's family will never be able to stop like this. "Lin Hao, where's the next stop?" Xiaoya walked beside her and couldn't help asking, her eyes full of anticipation. I lowered my head and looked at the stone in my hand. The next place on the ancient book appeared in my brain. A smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. "The next stop is more exciting than this. Be prepared to face a bigger challenge." The engine of the aircraft sounded low in my ears. I leaned against the window, squinted at the connected mountains and winding city walls below, and felt a little excited in my heart. The great city, the China logo, and the third miraculous challenge place, finally arrived. This place is not only a famous scenery, but also a trial site with ancient secrets. The ancient book says that there is a secret palace deep in the Long City, with a treasure that allows people to control the power of dragons. Just listening to the name makes me feel amazing. I have to have a good time this time. "Lin Hao, why are you stupid again? Don't be stunned when you get to the place. The Long City is bigger than the Maya Divine Hall. I don't care if I get lost." Xiaoya sat next to her, holding the tour guide manual in her hand, talking on her mouth, and keeping her eyes peeking at me, as if she was afraid that I would make something happen again. "Don't worry, I can't get lost." I grinned and lowered my head to touch the Pharaoh's eye and the natural core in my pocket. "With these 2 treasures in your hands, you have a very strong bottom. With the experience of the previous 2 trials, I am now becoming more and more confident in my intuition. No matter how big the city is, I can't escape the summoning of the sect." After getting off the plane, we headed straight to the Longcheng scenic area. There are many tourists, and they are as popular as a vegetable market, but I have no idea how to see the scenery. My brain is full of the entrances of the palace described in ancient books. Under the beacon tower, the dragon head is hidden. After thinking about this sentence over and over again, I always thought it had something to do with a specific location. Sure enough, when I walked to a small city wall, the familiar sense of call came again, as if someone was lying in my brain, leading me to walk towards a broken beacon tower on the left. "Xiaoya, be careful, you should be nearby," I whispered, my eyes swept around, fearing that I would miss any trace. "Okay, I hear whatever you say anyway." Xiaoya was standing shoulder to shoulder and followed me, but her eyes were still tight. After all, the first 2 trials were full of silences. Who knows what you will encounter this time? Walking under the beacon tower, I looked down and found that there were blocks of stone slabs on the ground that were not the same as those around, with a dragon-shaped pattern engraved on the edge. Damn, the dragon head is hidden, that's it. I squatted down and pressed the stone slab hard, but there was no silence. Just as he was about to feel a sudden buzz in his brain, a mantra popped up inexplicably. I read it in a low voice, and a click sound came from the bottom of the stone slab, and then the entire stone slab sank slowly, revealing a dark passage. "Lin Hao, is it really coming in?" Xiaoya swallowed, her face pale a little. "What are you afraid of?" "I'm here." I patted my chest, took out my flashlight, took the channel, and walked down the first. Xiaoya hesitated, but still kept her head firmly to follow. The air in the passage was damp and cold, and the stone walls on both sides were full of ancient runes. You could still hear the sound of dripping water at any time, and the atmosphere was extremely strange. After walking for about 10 minutes, a huge blue copper door appeared in the passage, with a spiraling giant dragon carved on it, and 2 red stones were radiating from the dragon's eyes, emitting faint light. I walked over and just touched the door, and the sound in my brain sounded again. Only the inheritor can awaken the power of the dragon and accept the test. "Try it? Come on." I sneered, pressed my hands on the door, and recited the mantra that appeared in my brain with a low voice. The next second, the blue copper door opened rumbling, and there was a huge underground palace. In the center was a dragon-shaped stone statue, which was more than 10 meters high. Its claws were pressed against a bead that was as big as a fist, emitting a faint golden light. "This is the core of the power of dragons?" My eyes lit up, but I didn't have time to look at it. A low smile suddenly came around the palace. Then, a familiar and disgusting sound came out. "Lin Hao, I didn't expect you to really find this," which saved me a lot of energy. I turned around suddenly, only seeing the entrance on the other side of the palace. Zhao Tianba walked in with more than a dozen men in black. He smiled coldly on his face, held a short blade with a strange shape in his hand, his eyes full of murderous intentions. The people in black were not simple, and everyone was emitting danger, like a well-trained killer. "Zhao Tianba, you are really in vain." I snorted coldly and kept Xiaoya behind me. "Why, I was not trained in the Maya gods last time, and I came to find a slap again this time?" "Lin Hao, don't be crazy. This time is not the Maya Divine Temple. This is the forbidden area of our family. The power of dragon swells should belong to us." Zhao Tianba gritted his teeth, and the greedy light flashed in his eyes. "I know something about you and hand over the previous treasure. Otherwise, you don't want to leave today. Forbidden land? I will hate you." I curled my lips, not taking his threat seriously at all. The eye of the pharaoh and the core of nature are in hand, and I am not afraid of these guys. "My little Zhao, say nothing, just start and see who can laugh to the end. Go! Let me wipe him." Zhao Tianba gave an order, and the men in black slammed over. The weapons in their hands were as cold as if they were to tear me apart. "Good!" I shouted loudly, holding the core of nature, and instantly regulating the power of thunder. The wind was ripped in the underground palace, and the lightning and electric communication were mixed. The men in black were swept up with electricity before they were approached. Several slow reactions were directly slashed over, and the scene was incredible. "What?" Zhao Tianba's face changed, and he obviously didn't expect that my strength would be stronger again. He gritted his teeth, and a red light suddenly appeared in the short blade in his hand, and he whispered, "Lin Hao, this is the family's secret treasure. I see how you can take it today." He said. He rushed over with a quick step, and the short blade pointed directly into my chest, and the speed was too fast, and there was a sense of slight pressure on the blade. My eyebrows were flashing, and the pharaoh's eyes instantly moved, and a golden light covered the whole body. With a bang, the short blade was forced to open. Zhao Tianba was shocked and retreated for a few steps. His face was hard to look like he had eaten bitter melon. Mr. Zhao, even with such ability, dare to hide it? I sneered, stepped closer to him, and with a flash of lightning struck by another lightning. This time he reacted quickly and hid from the side, but the few men in black next to him were not so good. They were so shocked by the electric shock and were lying on the ground to thrust. Lin Hao! Don't be proud! Zhao Tian was so domineering that his eyes were red. He suddenly took out a black stone tablet from his mouth, and said a few words in his mouth. A low growl suddenly came from the ground palace. Then, the eyes of the dragon-shaped stone statue lit up, and the golden beads under his claws shone brightly, and the whole ground palace began to shake violently. Damn, what are you doing? I was shocked and Lima pulled Xiaoya back to the corner. I saw the stone statue moving slowly, and a terrifying force radiated from its body, like a living dragon. With its claws blown, a big crack was torn out of the ground. Haha, Lin Hao, this is the guardian of the dragon wing, the final defense line of the family forbidden area. No matter how hard you can fight, you can't be its opponent. Zhao Tianba hid behind the stone statue, smiling wildly. As long as I get the power of the dragon wing, all the treasures of the 7 wonders are mine. Guardian? I'm not convinced. I gritted my teeth and told me that this guy is not an ordinary boss. If you want to get in touch, you must do your best. I took a deep breath, and at the same time I adjusted the power of the core of nature and the eye of the pharaoh. The wind and thunder were intertwined, and the golden light protected the body. The whole person seemed to have entered a certain superdivine state. Roar! The stone dragon roared angrily, and slapped his claws hard. I flashed my side, and the thunder light burst out in my palm, directly rushing on it. With a sound of rong, several cracks were blown out of the surface of the stone statue, but it had no reaction at all. Its tail swept, and it was another blow from the mountain. Lin Hao, be careful! Xiaoya shouted in anxiety from behind, her voice crying. Don't panic, look at me! I bit my teeth and dodged several attacks in succession. Finally, I found a chance to jump onto the back of the statue, clenched my fists with both hands, and was rushing towards its brain. The power of the core of nature exploded wildly, and each punch was carrying thunder and electricity, which made the head of the stone statue burst into a big hole, but the guy did not fall down, but instead pierced even harder, almost throwing me away. Damn, it's quite hard. I gasped and felt that my physical strength was consumed a little quickly, but suddenly a buzz in my brain, and the mysterious sound appeared again. Inheritor, wake up the dragon and control the true power. With the sound, there was an ancient mantra in my brain, and I subconsciously recited it out. The next second, a golden flame suddenly ignited in the palm of my hand, as if it had a common geese with the beads in the middle of the palace. This is the power of dragons? My heart was shocked, and I reached out to hold the beads. In an instant, a powerful force stormed into my body, as if the entire bones were reshaped, and the power rose sharply. I sniffed softly and punched the stone statue with one punch. The originally indestructible stone statue was directly turned into pieces, full of stone blocks. Zhao Tianba, what's going on now? Do you think I can't do it? I turned to look at him, and a sneer appeared on the corner of my mouth. With the blessing of the power of dragons, I felt that I was so powerful that I could smash a mountain with my hands. How is it possible for you? Zhao Tianba's face turned pale, his eyes were filled with shock and unwillingness. He couldn't even hold the stone tablet in his hand and fell to the ground and broke it. He stepped back a few steps, his voice trembling. How can the power of Dragon Squid choose you? This is impossible. There are too many impossible things, just accept it slowly. I snorted coldly and walked towards him, each step with an invisible sense of pressure. Zhao Tianba finally couldn't stand it anymore, so he turned around and ran away, and his subordinates ignored him and escaped from the entrance of the underground palace in shame. Tisk, run fast. I curled my lips and stopped chasing me. After all, the dragon's power was obtained, and this trial has been completed. A small character like Xiao Tianba will come to find a draw again. Lin Hao, you're just too fierce. Xiaoya ran over, her eyes bright like stars, and her language was full of admiration. I thought we were done with that stone statue dragon. As a result, you can get it done in 3 or 2. Ah, that's okay. I grinned, but my heart wasn't that relaxed. As soon as the power of the dragon's body entered my body, some strange pictures flashed through my brain like the 7 wonders connected into a line, and behind it was a huge slander, even related to Xiao Tianba's family. What makes me even more creepy is that I heard a low voice saying, "Finally, the price is heavy, the inheritor, be prepared." Price? What price? I bowed and felt a little blocked in my heart, but I couldn't say what it was. Although I got the power of the dragon, when the power inside me flowed, I felt a sense of anxiety, as if this power was not completely my own, and if I used it too much, I would have problems. Lin Hao, what's wrong with you? Your face is not right. Xiaoya looked at me, her language was full of worry. It's nothing, maybe I'm too tired after hitting it. I slammed the head and covered it with a strong smile. Let's go out first, there are 4 spectators behind, come slowly. Xiaoya was slightly lit, but there was still a little confusion in her eyes. The ground floor began to shake slightly, as if it was about to close after completing the trial. I pulled her out of the original passage. Just back to the ground, the sunset far away was on the long city, with golden light and beautiful scenery. Lin Hao, where's the next place? Xiaoya sat on the city wall, panting, and her face returned to her expectant expression. I lowered my head and looked at the dragon pearl in my hand. The next place on the ancient book appeared in my brain. My heart tightened and a smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. The next one is more amazing than this. Be prepared to break a bigger situation with me. The aircraft was flying smoothly above the cloud layer. I leaned against the window, and my brain was full of the journey. From the Egyptian pyramids to the Maya god's temple, to the great city, and later the Colossus of Rhodes, the grand light of the Mount Ares, the statue of Zeus and the Altius god's temple, all 6 trials of the 7 wonders have been completed. Every trial has given me more strength and made me more curious about the so-called ultimate treasure. Now, the destination of the aircraft is in Iraq, which is the site of the Babylon Sky Garden, the 7th and last miracle. I know that this stop is not only the final point of the trial, but also the time when Xiao Tianba and his family were in contact. Lin Hao, when you arrive at the last place, why do you look more tighter than me? Xiaoya sat next to her, holding a bottle of water in her hand, glanced at me with her eyes, and talking in her voice, but more concerned. I came back to my senses and grinned, tight. Just kidding, I'm so excited. The last treasure is hidden. If you get this connection, we're the real legend. Tisk, harsh mouth. Xiaoya curled her lips, but she still gave me the water. But seriously, it's very evil to hear this place. There's no discussion on the real location of the Babylon Sky Garden. How can you confirm that it's here? I think it's straight. I took the water and took a sip. The familiar slogan in my brain began to cause trouble again, as if someone was whispering softly, guiding me to a certain place. The ancient book says that although the garden in the sky has long disappeared, its core secret is sealed underground, waiting for the arrival of its inheritors. This feeling is not wrong since the first whim, and this time it will definitely not be bad. After the aircraft landed, we rented an off-road car directly and headed towards the seat tag marked on the ancient book. The desert land in Iraq is extremely hot, with sand flying everywhere, and there is a yellow sand rolling outside the car window. Occasionally, you can see some broken ancient city wanderings, which makes people feel like they have traveled back thousands of years ago. Lin Hao, can there be a treasure in this place? It looks like it's deserted. Xiaoya wiped the sweat from her head, her language was full of doubts. The more this kind of place is, the more there is a big secret. I stepped on the gas gate and stared at the coordinates on the GPS. After opening for a few hours, I finally stopped my car in a ruin. There was an inconspicuous sand dunes in front of me, nothing special, but the call in my brain was so strong that my heart beat faster. It's right here. I jumped out of the car, took out the tools I had with me and started digging sand. Although Xiaoya was full of face and was reluctant, she still helped her with the little lens. After digging for about half an hour, a huge stone slab was finally revealed under the sand, full of ancient flower patterns and a palm-shaped groove in the center. Damn, there's something. My eyes lit up, and my horse pressed my palm on the groove, and chanted the mantra that appeared in my brain with a low voice. The next second, the stone slab shaking and sinking slowly, revealing a dark underground passage, and the air was filled with a smell of corruption. Lin Hao, there will be no monsters like this, right? Xiaoya swallowed and grabbed my arm, her face turned a little white. With me here, what are you afraid of? I patted her hand, took out her flashlight, took the channel, and walked down the first. This passage is longer than before, and the two stone walls are filled with reliefs of Babiron style, as if telling an ancient myth. After walking for about 10 minutes, a huge metal door appeared in the passage, with a huge blue gem on it, emitting a faint light. Is this the entrance to the ultimate treasure? Xiaoya muttered in a small voice, staring at the stone. 99 is not far away. I took a deep breath, and the sound in my brain suddenly sounded, Inheritor, touch the stone, reveal the final secret, and accept the final test. I walked over without hesitation, pressed my palm on the stone, and in an instant a cold current spread throughout my body, my eyes turned black, and the whole person seemed to be sucked into a dark space without any trace. Who dares to be ashamed of my sleep? A voice that was so low that it made me creepy that it exploded in my ears. Then, a huge shadow appeared in front of me, several 10 meters high, like some kind of ancient god, with black air in my body and a huge knife in my hand, which made me almost breathless. Damn, this is the last guard? I gritted my teeth, my heart beat as fast as a drumbeat, but the 6 forces in my body, the eye of the pharaoh, the core of nature, the force of dragons, the flame of the sun, the heart of the ocean and the wings of the sky, began to flow at the same time, allowing me to regain my bottom in an instant. Come on, I'm not easy to mess with. You dare to challenge the gods even if you are a little bitch. The shadow roared angrily, and the knife slapped down hard, and the air was torn into pieces. I flashed my body, regulating the power of the core of nature, and the thunder light burst out in my palm, directly towards it. With a shock sound, the lightning hit the target, but the shadow just shook without any damage. Instead, with a swipe of the knife, the black air turned into countless spikes and rushed towards me. This guy is much stronger than the previous guards. I bit my teeth and the pharaoh's eyes moved, and the golden light protected his body, and he forced his spikes, but the whole person was still shook for a few steps, and his chest suddenly burst into pieces. It seems that relying solely on a single power is not enough. You must merge all the miraculous powers to fight this monster. I closed my eyes, and the last mantra appeared in my brain, and I recited it in a low voice. The next second, the 6 forces in my body seemed to be ignited, gathering together wildly, forming a golden light that exploded from me. The whole person seemed to be stolen from the fetus and bones, and his strength rose to a terrifying level. When his palm was swept, the air burst out with a blast. God? I will kill the gods today. I shouted loudly, flashed my body and rushed directly to the shadow. My fist was wrapped in golden light and smashed it hard on its chest. There was a huge bang sound, and the shadow screamed, and a big hole was directly smashed into his chest, and the black air leaked wildly, and his body began to collapse. Impossible, Inheritor, how could you be so powerful? Its voice became weaker and weaker, and the knife fell to the ground with a clang and finally turned into a group of black smoke and disappeared in full swing. The dark space was broken, and my eyes lit up and I returned to the metal door. Lin Hao. What happened to you? Suddenly I stopped moving, I was scared to death. Xiaoya grabbed me anxiously, her palms covered in sweat. It's okay, I just closed it last time. I gasped and looked down. I saw that there was a crystal-like key in my hand, emitting colorful light. The sound in the brain sounded, I finally tried to complete the work, and I won the key of the gods, opened the door of the treasure, and became an enemy-free existence. Is there an enemy? This is so cool. I grinned, holding the key and inserting it into the lock hole in the center of the metal door. With a click sound, the door opened slowly, and there was a golden and blue temple inside. A huge crystal ball floated in the center, and countless light flowed inside, as if hiding the secrets of the entire world. Is this, finally hiding? Xiaoya's eyes widened, her language was filled with shock. It's right, this is the core of the seven wonders. Controlling it is like controlling endless power and wealth. I walked over, pressed my palm on the crystal ball, and in an instant a vast stream of knowledge and power surged into the brain, as if the secrets of the entire universe were unfolding in front of my eyes. I could feel that the power in my body has increased by another level, and with just one swipe, it can easily destroy a mountain. Ha, Zhao Tianba, let's see how you will fight me now. I smiled and turned around, and just wanted to tell Xiaoya something. Suddenly I heard a rapid stomp sound from the entrance of the main hall. Then, a cold voice sounded, Lin Hao, finally you will still take this step, but do you think Baozan can really belong to you? I glanced at me and looked at me. Zhao Tianba walked in with dozens of men in black. There were also several old men wearing long robes behind me. His temperament was not simple, like an old man in the family. Zhao Tianba smiled proudly on his face, and held a black stone tablet in his hand, emitting a strange breath. Zhao Tianba, you really don't give up. I sneered and kept Xiaoya behind me. Why, what kind of waste did you bring to die this time? Lin Hao, young man. Zhao Tianba gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with greed. This treasure is something our family has protected for thousands of years. You are just an outsider and are also suitable for being involved? Today, our old team takes action. I think you can still make any waves. Old team? Are these ones? I raised my eyebrows, and the pressure didn't take them seriously. I have integrated the power of the seven wonders, so strong that I feel that I am away from it. I can set off a stone with just one move. No matter how hard these guys can fight, they can't be my opponent. Run! Zhao Tianba ordered. The elders and elders chanted the spell in a low voice. The black air in their hands gathered wildly, turning into a huge black dragon, roaring towards me, and their air was so cruel that it could swallow everything. A little trick to carve a slight trick. I snorted coldly, and my palm slapped, and the colorful light burst out from my body, turning directly into a beam of light, hitting the black dragon. With a shock sound, the black dragon was broken into pieces, carrying the old, spitting blood in their mouths, looking at me in shock. What? This is impossible. Zhao Tianba's face turned pale, and the stone tablet in his hand was unstable, and fell to the ground and broke. He stepped back a few steps, his voice trembling. How did you get so strong? Zhao Tianba, the game ends here. I walked towards him, with an invisible sense of pressure on each step. With a swipe, a beam of light hit his chest, causing him to fly, and hit the stone wall hard, and even humming without even a sound. Lin Hao, you are so awesome. Xiaoya was stunned from behind, and after a long time she whispered a word, her eyes full of admiration. Ha, that's wherever you go. I grinned, turned to the old people, and said coldly, your family has protected the treasure for thousands of years, but I just want to swallow it alone. Now that the treasure has chosen me, it's your report. Let's take it. If you dare to come and find trouble, I don't mind destroying you all. The old people looked as if they were ashen, and they looked at each other, and even Tianba ignored them and ran out in shame. The building finally calmed down, and I looked down at the crystal ball, and countless pictures appeared in my brain. It turned out that ultimately, the ultimate treasure was not only about strength and wealth, but also an ancient promise. The inheritor must keep these secrets and cannot let it fall into the hands of evil people. Lin Hao, what are you going to do? Is this treasure really going to keep it all the time? Xiaoya walked to me and asked in a low voice, with a little worried look in her eyes. If you keep it, just keep it. You can't let people like Zhao Tianba use it for trouble. I smiled and sealed the power of the crystal ball. With a swipe, the hall began to shake, as if it was about to close. Let's go, our adventure is full. Xiaoya clicked her head and followed me out of the passage. When I returned to the ground, the sun just rose from the horizon, and the golden light shone on the desert, as beautiful as a painting. I leaned on the off-road car and looked at the scenery away, and suddenly I felt a sense of indescribable ease in my heart. Lin Hao, where are you going to have fun next? I'll really go home and live? Xiaoya sat on the top of the car, shaking her legs, her lingering and curiosity. Go home? That's fine. I jumped on the car with a smile and turned to look at her, but life can't be too dull. We can still go to more places and see more scenery. Maybe there are other secrets waiting for us to dig. TSK, start fooling people again. Xiaoya curled her lips, but the light was flashing in her eyes, which clearly showed that she was full of expectations for the future. The car started and the engine sounded back in the desert. I stepped on the gas door and drove away. Although the adventure of the 7 wonders ended, I know that the legend belonging to Lin Hao just began. I can take the title of King of Treasures with peace of mind. As for the future, no matter what challenges it has, I will crush one. Life is about living a happy life.